maybe not a huge improvement, but I'd say about 2008, at that point, at the end of 2009, 2008 was still the better year, but it was kind of like, if you had to pick a second place year, 2007 and 2009 were pretty even there, but based off my list, there was, 2007 had like 2 more games than 2009. If you're going based off the number of games that came out in 2000, like in the years, 2007 would have 2009 beat, but the quality of the games was about the same, although I might give the edge to 2009 in that regard, because they, like, more interesting type games came out in like 2009, especially with the like the Punch Out, you know, Beatles Rock Band, you know, Grand Slam Tennis, Excitebot, Final Fantasy, and Muramasa Mad World. So at that point, 2009 was a good year. 2008 was still technically the better year, but 2009 and 2007 were good years, and of course 2006 was a good launch. Now we get on to 2010. 2010 was a good year. At that point, Motion Plus was already out for the Wii, and then games still continuously came out. There was a lot of games on the horizon. The new Zelda was, by that time, already talked about. I think they had the poster out for it by then, I think. I'm not fully sure. Which turned out to be Skyward Sword, of course. And at the time we had like Lego Harry Potter 1 through 4 for a Lego game. There was Kirby's Epic Yarn, Arkwright Fantasia, Monster Hunter 3, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. There was Green Day Rock Band a year later. The remake of GoldenEye, 007, the Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, which although isn't the greatest Guitar Hero game, and that's before Guitar Hero went out of existence pretty much. It was still worthwhile and had some good songs on it. There's Rock Band 3, which in my opinion was loads better. Batman Brave and the Bold, which I have played, fun game. Epic Mickey, DJ Hero 2, Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, which I rented that before. It was a sweet game. Raving Rabbids Travel in Time, which, if you're a fan of Raving Rabbids, would be worthwhile to try out. NHL Slapshot, which I still want to play, and based off what I've seen, it looks pretty sweet. No More Heroes 2, of course. For people out there that like the Just Dance series, I gave the nod here to Michael Jackson: The Experience. Metroid Other M, which I've played Just Dance series as well, and it's pretty fun. 2 and 3 are good, especially compared to the first one, which was a good, I think, start technically to the series. But when you compare it to the second and third one, there were so many improvements technically to those games. It pretty much pissed that game out of existence. Although, still, the improvements, I mean, it's a fun series. It's not like the greatest series of all time, but it's fun. You know, it's fun to play those games. Metroid Other M, which, by what people say, I haven't played a whole lot of it, but based on what I played of it so far, it's a good game. There was Sin Punishment 2, Star Successor, NBA Jam, Mario Galaxy 2, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, Super Mario All-Stars, which, although it's basically the Super Nintendo game on the Wii disc, is still a good game, so I counted it. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, which was a fun game. Sonic Colors was a good game. Sengoku Bastra Samurai Heroes, fun. Sakura Wars So Long My Love, a good, like, RPG, strategy, dating sim type game. For those out there that might be interested in trying something like that. Samurai Warriors 3, Sid Meier's Pirates, which I think was, I never played it, but I think it was the game that came out on Xbox, and I think maybe even PC. Shaun White Skateboarding, which I played, was quite fun. Trauma Team, Tron Evolution Battle Grids, Lord of the Rings, Aragorn's Quest, Dawn of Discovery, Top Spin 3, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2011, Endless Ocean 2, Donkey Kong Country Returns, you know, Red Steel 2 and stuff like that. Right there, that was about, let's count how many games there was there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, about 39 games, almost 40 some odd games. a ton of quality games there, a ton of variety of genres there, and basically, you know, a ton of Nintendo franchises, like first and second party, you know, third party games. There was Wii Motion Plus used there, although not entirely, but it was used there. And there was a ton of variety of games there from different genres in a ton of games. And at that point, in my opinion, 2010 took 2008 spot as technically the best Wii year so far. Not just because of the games that came out, like, you know, the number of games, but the type of games that came out and the different variety and quality of games, you know, the third party support that year. 2010 became like the Wii's best year. I don't know if everyone would agree with me in that regard, but definitely 2010 was like the Wii's best year. And at that point, and 2008 was moved down to the second. 2007 and 2006 were kind of fighting for that next spot, and I'm just putting 2006 in last because it was only a 2-month launch, although for a launch, like I said, it was a good launch. And by the end of that year, we went into 2011, and we didn't know a whole lot what was going to be going on that year, because when we finished off almost every previous year, we kind of knew what was coming out that year. I mean, we knew there was a Kirby coming. Actually, no, that was before we knew Kirby was coming, because that came around like early 2011. And we already knew Zelda was coming, but 2011 was a very big mystery outside the fact that, of course, 3DS was coming out, but this is about the Wii. We're not even going to discuss that. We're going to get to the 2011 for the Wii at this point. At the beginning of the year, basically, Lost in Shadow came out, and like earlier on in the year, there was the Lego's Pirates of the Caribbean game, and Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. Mario Sports Mix came out around the earlier part of the year. Same thing with Trackmania, and of course, Conduit 2 came out that year as well, like April or something like that, March or April, pretty much. Topspin 4 and Virtual Tennis 4 came out in the middle of the year, basically. There was, of course, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2012. By the end of the year, there was, of course, we basically seen it at E3 2010. It was revealed there. Then they showed more. They did like the 25th anniversary 2011. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword came out at the end of the year, November 20th. By the end of the year, Ring Factory Tides of Destiny came out. You Don't Know Jack, like, you know, the game show type games that was there. Rayman Origins came out at the end of the year. The Back to the Future game that came out like a year prior, like in 2010, like on the PC, basically made its jump to the Wii version with all the download episodes already in the game. All the episodes were there. There was the Spyro game Skylanders. Kirby's Return to Dreamland came out. And besides that, pretty much nothing. That's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. About 16 games, with a few excluded. But compared to how great a year basically 2010 was, going from the greatest year to this year was kind of a drop, in my opinion here. 2011, while it did have great games like Kirby, Zelda, Boom Factory came out, Rayman came out, Skylanders was there, Lost in Shadow was there, stuff like that. It's in not just because of the amount of games that came out, but because of like the big gaps in between games sometimes, and the fact that not even all the games that I named here are entirely worthwhile. At this point, I would just say that 2011 was the worst year for the Wii. Not a horrible year, but compared to 2010, 2009, 2008, and 7, pretty bad. And I would say it's the worst year. And I'd put the launch in 2006 above it because that's 2 months and how good the launch technically was. And basically, like I said, that would be like the worst year. Now, before I go into my thoughts about 2012, and they're going to be quick thoughts too, because I'm going to be talking more about this in future videos, of course. I'm going to basically give a rough grade, a rough number out of 10 that I think each year did deserve, basically. And let's start all the way back at 2006. For a launch that lasted about 2 months, the fact that it was a pretty good launch and how long it lasted, I'd give 2006, the 2 months there, about a 7.5 to an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, this is rough, so there's going to be a lot of point-to-point kind of a thing. 2007 was the first full year, pretty good list of games there. I'd give it about a 7.5 out of 10 roughly. 2008, up at that point, was the best year at the time. Brawl came out and stuff like that. I'd give that about an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. 2009 was still a good year, not necessarily as good as 2008, but still had a lot of good games. I think actually, overall, I had more worthwhile games too. I'd give it about an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. 2010 was, and still is in my opinion, the best Wii year we got that year. There was a ton of them, first party support, second party support, there was a ton of third party games, a ton of variety, the most amount of games like a year overall. We got games literally from January all the way to December. I'd give that year about a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty darn close. And it was the best year. Now this year in 2006, we got hardly any games out there. The fact that Operation Rainfall had to come in to try to get games coming here, which we're getting one of them as of now, and basically we'll probably get the others too in 2012. Basically the large gaps in between games, the amount of games that came out necessarily, and not too many big time franchises came out this year. I'd give it about a 6 to a 6.5 out of 10. And I consider it, I mean, it's not a horrible year, but I consider it to be the worst Wii year so far. Now on to 2012. I know 2012 is supposed to be the year Wii U launches at the end of the year. It's already been confirmed it's not going to be before E3, which is in June. So we're not going to expect it by then. And like the Wii came out in November, and usually every system comes out at the end of the year pretty much. In my opinion, that's probably when it's going to be coming out, is around November time. Now I know you can't really push a whole lot of games out in the last year, and the reason why I'm putting quotations in the last year is because basically, as far as I heard, the Wii is supposed to be supported during Wii U. I don't know if I heard it from Reggie, I heard it somewhere online. It's supposed to be supported after. Does that mean a whole lot? I don't think so. Could it still be? Maybe. It's probably still going to be supported to an extent for the people who don't make that initial jump to Wii U at the end of the year, like myself, because I'm not going to be in it at launch. 2013 sometime? Sure. 2012 at the end of the year? Not likely. I might change my mind, sure, but very unlikely. But like I said, they're supporting it, supposedly still. But I'm basically saying here, as of now, the only Wii games that technically are confirmed for next year: Rhythm Heaven, Mario Party 9, Xenoblade Chronicles, Epic Mickey 2 is supposed to be coming. There's that WWE Brawl game, and supposedly Dragon Quest X. That's like 6 games in a year so far confirmed. And I'm not saying they need another 2010, because they really don't, but I think legitimately the Wii in 2012 needs to be at least a 2007 or a 2009. Maybe 2008, but that's probably not likely. I'd say about 2007 to 2009. At least a worthwhile 6 to, at least, I mean, not in terms of number of releases, but at least in terms of games out there, maybe a good amount of games. I'd say about 6 to 8 worthwhile games probably next year, including I would say Mario Party 8, Mario Party 9, and which I forgot to include for Mario Party 8.